Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host Sandman. Today I am actually with the myth, the legend, Ratyoke himself, custom pick maker, expert jewelry master extraordinaire. We'll get into all that. But first I want to make an apology. I am in Houston, Texas. I'm specifically in Spring, just about 30 minutes north of downtown Houston, and all of Houston and all of the surrounding counties are completely without power, except for the houses that have a generator. I am fortunate to say that I am in one of those houses. So if you hear a humming in the background, that is the house generator allowing us to have this video at this moment. Otherwise, it would be super dark in this house and super hot. So I apologize, but without further ado, let's introduce Ratyoke. Ratyoke, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired. It's morning.
So tell me about yourself. How did you get into jewelry making, and then how did you get into making locks?
So I started working in metal in 1996. I majored in art in college, and I took a jewelry and metalsmithing course, and I liked it a lot. I finished college, and then I went to a jewelry trade school, and after that I started working as a bench jeweler. So that's the person who makes the jewelry. I did that for several years, went back to graduate school, got a master's degree in jewelry and metalsmithing, and at some point in around 2007, 2008, I thought lockpicking looks cool. I thought this would be a cool skill to have, and I've got a friend whose father is a locksmith, and so I thought I'm going to ask my friend, to help me out to learn this. So we went over to his shop one night, and he gave me some picks and told me the basics, and I worked at a lock for about 45 minutes and got it open, and I wanted to make the tools. I hadn't looked online. I didn't know there were the key picking and lockpicking 101 forums. I didn't know about the tool suppliers either, selling to the public. So I was going to make the tools, and then I found, I think, Southord, bought some, and I didn't want to wait for them to come, so I started making my own. And then, I don't know, a few months later, I had made some in aluminum, and I posted them on the forums, and people loved them, and that's kind of how it started, and they've been in demand since then when I started.
And I'm very fortunate to be the owner of your very first commissioned set of tools that were commissioned from you in 2008 by the original owner of keypicking.com named Hallis Chalmers. I've known him since 2010, but he commissioned a set of like 7 or 8 picks from you, and like 4 or 5 of them are double-ended, and there's like 3 that are single-ended, and they were all aluminum handled. And what I remember in 2010 was you did a lot of aluminum handled ones, and then you started getting into these really high-end, like exotic woods and the wooden handle picks, and then you had a hiatus for a little bit. You actually went and you went abroad because you were a teacher. Can you tell me about some of the stuff that you did abroad and how you were able to bring back the custom pick making back into the fold?
So I was making picks from 2008 to 2010, and actually 2009 I was getting burnt out at my job, and I wasn't making much money, and I just wanted to change. So 2010 I went to Korea to teach English. The plan was I was going to teach for 1 year and then come back to the US and be a jeweler again, but that 1 year turned into 5 years. I only made a couple picks during that time when I would visit the US. I didn't bring my tools to Korea. And then 2016 I came back to the US. I started working as a jeweler again. There was still, the whole time I was gone, people would be messaging me if I had picks for sale, or when I would make them again. So 2016 I started producing just a few picks. Let's see, that was the end of 2016. 2017 I was working as a jeweler. I ended up leaving that job. Wasn't a very good job. I ended up leaving, and I was out of work for a little bit. So that's when I really started pushing the picks. I made a website, and Locksport was much bigger than it was back in 2008, 2009. So I did that for a little while. In 2018, I went to Taiwan to teach again.
And was it in Taiwan that you started making picks again over there?
Yeah, I think I was there for about a year. I started buying tools, and I made a little jewelry, and yeah, then I just decided, all right, I'm just going to make picks here because, you know, I make jewelry and it might sell, it might not, but people are always asking about buying picks from me.
That's what's cool is like you're not like a jeweler that makes stuff and then puts it up for sale and then hopes somebody's gonna buy it, and like so you have a storefront where people are just randomly shopping and randomly making their purchases. You have people that have been emailing you for 15 years begging you, hey man, when are you going to start making picks again? Or hey man, can you make me this? Or hey, like how much is this going to cost if I want to do a set of this? Like you have a following. Like you have an occult following of people that are diehard enthusiasts of yours. And people have seen my collection. This isn't my collection. These are all tools that Ratyoke brought with him to Houston to show to the Houston meetup group. And so we came to Houston and we said, hey, we realize that you guys have your meetups typically like 1 or 2 specific days out of the month, but Ratyoke's on a tight schedule. Would you guys like to put together an impromptu or flash meetup so that way people could have an opportunity to meet Ratyoke, but also see some of his tools? All of these tools are the tools that he brought. And they were like, yeah, for sure, we'd love to. So they put together a thing. We had 11 people show up, like 11 people. And I mean, it was a good turnout considering that the whole city was completely without power except for where we were at. And there's not a single gas station for 60 miles. There's no gas. And we still had 11 people show up just to be able to see your works of art. And that's what I love about this. I know that there are people in the community that make lockpicks, and we'll talk about that in a second. But you draw like literally a small crowd wherever you go, and people want to see your works of art, and that's what I love about it. And you kind of set the tone. So I had the opportunity to be a content creator for a website called The Art of Lockpicking from 2014 to 2018, and sometime around 2016 or so you let me interview you, and then we also put together another article, and I'll put a link in the description down below, but you also let me do another article on how you make your lockpicks. Now you've been very humble in that process because you said, man, you're like, I don't make tools I don't make these picks with tools that people can just go out and buy. Like I'm a jeweler, I'm a professional jeweler, so I use my jewelry making tools. So you had told me that you didn't really enjoy making the write-up for how you make your lock picks because it wasn't something that could be transferred over other people to be able to just do in the garage. But that's what I loved about that article. I want people to understand you're not just some guy in your garage. You're a guy with 20, 30 years of jewelry making experience. You have a master's degree in this stuff. You're a gold and silversmith. Like you are on this road trip right now because you went to Kansas, is it?
Yeah, I went to Emporia, Kansas to take a stone setting class.
Right, you're taking a stone setting class, and you already know how to set stones, but you wanted to go out there and just make sure that you were the best stone setter that you could possibly be. And that's what I love about you. You're not just someone making tools. You're a professional master jeweler that also has the love and passion of making lock picks, and that's the quality and the craftsmanship that you put into these tools. So can you tell us a little bit about these tools, maybe from starting from this end, working your way across?
Okay, so first right here we have a mind focus if I pick this up?
Yeah, fine.
So this is a prototype I made of a Jimy Longs pick in a handle of my own.
May I see it?
Yeah.
What type of wood is that?
I believe it's Bacote.
That's awesome. And so you basically just took a Jimy Longs shank, which is probably about a 19 thousandths half diamond, and then you were able to just fit it into this wood handle.
Yeah, it's sandwiched between the pieces of wood.
Wow. So there's 2 pieces of wood here.
Yeah.
Man, I can't even see the seam. That's fantastic. That's awesome. Tell me about this one.
Okay, next. This one is micarta, and I forget what this wood is called, Phasalia or something. But this is one of my personal picks that I keep in my personal set that I use.
Awesome. So this is one of the yeah. So this was probably one of the picks that you used last night while you're picking locks, I suspect. Yeah, and you're a good lock picker too, by the way. That's what I love about you, that you're not just an actual jewelry maker. You actually sit down, and you were telling me, you're like, I'm kind of rusty. I haven't picked locks in a while. I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, nobody cares. And then like you sat down and you just started grabbing random locks and you started opening them. I was like, oh, this guy still has it. This guy still got it. He's just shy. So that's what I love about that. This is cool. This is a flat hook. What type of tool steel are you using for some of these?
I would say the majority that I do now are 301 high yield stainless. I started using that in, I think, 2019 or 2020. And before that, almost everything was 1095 high carbon steel feeler gauge stock.
Yeah.
And I got a few in here that are, one at least, that is Peterson government steel.
Yeah, I've commissioned 2 picks from you that were Peterson government steel, 18 thousandths, a flat hook and a gym hook, and then I have several of your picks that are in the 1095, which is really strong. I really like 1095. It can be very strong and it polishes really well. But I love that you're keeping up with the trends of the current demand, which is the 301 high yield stainless steel, because those have like 285,000 pounds per square inch of ultimate tensile strength. So that makes it the strongest lockpick tool steel that's currently available on the market. And I love that you do that. I love that you're not just going with some random tool steel because it's cheap or inexpensive or easy to polish. I really love these two that you make. Like, to me, when I think of Ratyoke tools, first thing that comes to my mind are these types of picks. What inspired you to make these, and can we talk about these materials?
So these two are also from my personal set of picks I use. I made them about 2009 or 2010, right before I left the country. I just wanted, because I'd made so many and sold, I had none that I had kept for myself to use. So these are my favorite profiles at the time. So yeah, I made them for myself. To use. I don't use them all that much, but
that's what inspired you to come up with like a what would you call this, like a dovetail?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean,
it could be whatever you want, right?
I mean, in my sketchbook, I do a lot of, I have hundreds and hundreds of pick handle drawings, and almost none of them you will ever see because it's, the proportions are wrong. It just doesn't flow right. But then, I get one that's like, okay, this is cool, and I can work on the design a bit more, work on the curves to make the curves the way I like and make the proportions the way I like. But yeah, they evolve generally from a few lines in my sketchbook.
What I love about these particular picks, and I'm a North American lock picker, so I'm going to hold my lock pick with the short hook facing up. But excuse me, I had to sneeze there. So I like holding my short hook facing up, but as I hold my lock pick, I like to support the shank with my middle finger, and therefore as I glide the tool within the lock, it's going to make contact with my knuckle here. But the way that this is shaped like a fin, it feels like I'm almost holding nothing, but I also, obviously holding this pick, but it just feels so amazing. It doesn't feel like I'm holding a lock pick at all. It just feels like I'm holding something that was designed specifically for my hand. It's just indescribable, but at the same time, I'm doing my best to describe it, and I just can't. Like, I just love that it glides through my hand. It's the most comfortable lock pick. This thing is so lightweight. I wish that we had a scale that I could show people how light these are. I think these are probably, this particular one, it feels just as light as a full-size lockpick that doesn't have handles. Like, just the absolute, it's just so light. The wood is, what type of wood is that?
So this is holly and this is ebony. Man,
holly is super light. Really like this ebony. Now, if I were to rake, I'd probably hold like this, but I love that I have the option of holding like this. It's just so light and so nice. I really like the ebony. It feels, it's dumb to say. I feel like I can feel the density of the wood when you hold ebony in your hand. It just feels colder, and it just feels, maybe there is a little bit more weight to it, but the holly there is super lightweight. Tell me about this dimple pick.
So this is, I made this in Taiwan. This was a prototype for a set. I made a guy in Canada a set of 3 dimple picks and 4 regular picks. So this was just a prototype to see how it goes. So this part, the actual pick, is I think I used like 1 millimeter or 1.1 millimeter feeler gauge stock, and just ground and polished it into this. It's not the best way to do dimple picks, but it works.
I was inspecting this, and the one thing I noticed is that it's perfectly cylindrical and your flag is flawless. And what people don't know is a lot of the top dimple pick manufacturers are actually using a 3D printing technology for metal. And those are $500,000 machines, like $500,000 USD. And that's what they're using to 3D print these shafts or these shanks here that are perfectly cylindrical with the flag on the end. And you were able to do this thing by hand, which is absolutely amazing. I can't get over that. I never knew that you had made a dimple pick. I know that you made dimple pick, like handles, but I had no idea you actually made one with a legit flag like that. And you actually made a whole set, correct? I think did you mention that?
A set of 3.
Wow, that's amazing.
But I did this same type in 2009 or so with aluminum handles.
Really? Dang, I'd never seen that. Tell me about this guy.
So this one is not really finished. This was my first attempt at inlay. So the pick is ebony with turquoise inlay. I hadn't done it before. I read about online how to do it. They said use super glue, but super glue dries white. So you've got all these white, obvious glue seams going through the ebony, and so yeah, I would kind of grind out the white seam and put ebony in, or turquoise in. Yeah, super glue was not the right material, but it was not the right glue, but it's not really finished. I don't think I'm ever going to finish it. It's just, it's not really worth finishing at this point.
What I like about this is, though it looks exotic, it is super comfortable to use in the hand. Like, these are all still, it's all functional art. I love that. You went with a DeForest half diamond there. Tell me about this guy.
So this one is carved boxwood. Boxwood is one of the best woods for detail carving, and the design is, people thought it was like wheat or something, but it's, it was definitely inspired by that, but it was just, I had very little plan when I started carving it. I think I did this part first because, as you can see, I like to do this kind of scale type pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And then these lines were just, the lines were more practice. Just, I was just learning how to carve a nice line in the wood. But yeah, I use mostly little knives to do the carving. People ask if it's a Dremel tool, but no, it's mostly knives.
That's what's crazy, because you're a jewelry maker, but now you're a freaking wood carver, and people don't understand that you're so multifaceted and in all of the areas of craftsmanship that you apply to these tools. Like, it just goes above and beyond the ability to make jewelry and then make a tool from the eyes of a jeweler, because you're also a lock picker, but now you're a woodworker, and you're getting into lathe work, you're getting into all kinds of stuff.
Well, the thing is with the wood carving is probably about, when I started my job, about 50% of the work I was doing was wax carving, because CAD was becoming popular, but 3D printers were still, almost no one had them. You had to send your stuff out to get 3D printed. So about half of the work I was doing when I started my career was wax carving, and it's a different material, wood and wax and metal, but it's the same kind of, you learn to carve the one, you can carry the skills over somewhat to the next material.
Well, so these two are made of the same material, correct?
Yeah,
So
boxwood.
there's some similarities here, and this is just a slightly different design. That's gorgeous. Love it. That's awesome. Some people like to pick like this, and some people like to pick like this. It's comfortable in either position. Some people pick, if you're in Europe, some people pick downwards. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. I love the ergonomics of it.
Yeah, I've made a lot of picks for the UK and Europe, and I don't know if people don't realize I can always put the tip pointing down.
Yeah.
like I see people picking like this, and I mean, to me, this is the handle's upside down to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, they can do what they want, but I can always reverse the tip. It doesn't have to be in this orientation.
Gotcha. This one is my new favorite. I mean, these are my favorites, and you have a couple other designs and styles that are my top 3. This one blew my mind. This one right here. And here's why. So we have the ergonomics in this direction, and then we have the ergonomics in this direction. And someone can say, yeah, well, so what? What's the point? This thing is like marries to my hand perfectly. It's absolutely undescribable. And then I showed it to somebody yesterday who was left-handed, and I was like, oh, no, you got to put it in your right hand. And he was like, no, I'm left-handed. And he put it in his left hand, and it fits him perfectly in his left hand. I was like, what the hell is going on? I didn't understand how it fit his left hand, and it fits my right hand. I don't know what's going on with this pick, but I absolutely love it. And it reminds me of something like from the Harry Potter universe. And if I were to turn it upside down, it still fits perfectly. I absolutely love it. I feel like it's reminiscent of like a wizard's wand or something like that, and that's retarded. But I absolutely love this thing. What inspired you to get this shape?
Oh, I mean, nothing there's like no, there's stuff that inspires me, but there's nothing that's like, I see something and then I carry it right directly into my work. I mean, I look at, I mean, the generic inspirations I give are plants and architecture, but I mean, it's not like I could say there's something specific that influenced me.
After I've held this in my left hand and my right hand, I feel like something like this is like the future of locksport. Like I feel like lockpicks should cradle your palm, like for ultimate feedback. I don't know, maybe that's not a thing, but it's like as soon as I hold this, I'm like, oh, this has got to be a thing. We got to make it a thing. I don't know. I really love this thing. I could see me purchasing one of those, or it maybe a set someday in the future. I absolutely love what you do with that.
I wish I could say the ergonomics were intentional, but it just kind of came out that way. I think you're the first lockpicker I've showed it to. I've never used it, and I do this design. If we just look at it from this angle, I do a design like this.
Yeah,
it's part of my regular catalog. But this one, I also put the carving, the curves this way also, and this is also boxwood. So the boxwood is super smooth, like plastic almost.
Man, oh man. So tell me about this one. I actually had an opportunity to buy this like 5, 6, 7 years ago, or further back, and I didn't. I wish I had, because now it's not for sale. But tell me about that.
So this one is I remember, I think it was twice you were like, you're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
And at that time I was like, yeah, okay, I gave you a price and we're okay, but now it's not for sale because I'm not broke right now, so you gotta wait until I'm not doing so well financially before you can get another chance.
But this is aluminum, correct?
Yeah, this is aluminum. I made this one. This was the last pick I made before I went to Korea, and I'd been making, the same. People want like the same design. As they see something and they want the same thing, and I was making a lot of the same stuff over and over, and I was feeling kind of bored. I wanted one for myself that I could just do, what I wanted. It didn't look like, this stuff I'd been doing the past 2 years. So yeah, this is it's carved. I do it by hand with a rotary tool and hand files. The texture is, I put the texture on the handle with a coarse hand file or needle file maybe, and then I anodize it and put it together with screws.
I absolutely love that you have removable screws on here. That's wild. Like, are these removable?
Yeah.
That's wild.
So I mean, yeah, if you buy it and use it, and you break it, you could send the handle back to me, and I could make a new.
That's incredible.
Pick for it.
That's incredible, and that's what I think is the future. I don't want to give away too many secrets, but I hope to see a collaboration with you and a major pick manufacturer, so that way we can see more Ratyoke tools in the hands of people, but more importantly, see tools of Ratyoke tools in the hands of people where they can also have the option of replacing the pick shank, the tang, replacing the pick completely. If they were to bend or break their pick, they want to be able to replace it and still keep their Ratyoke handle without having to send it to you. Maybe even, I don't know, it'd be interesting. Tell me about this guy.
So I made this one for myself pretty recently, like a couple months ago. The shape is I mean, if we're going to look at it this way and ignore the handle, there is a right-hand pick that's, I just traced it exactly onto a piece of government steel, Peterson government steel, and polished it and put little handles on it. I don't know, I like the idea of double-ended picks, but I don't like making them very much.
Yeah, because it's hard, the symmetry, right?
Yeah, you have to keep everything in a straight line.
Yeah.
But, as I said, this was a copy off a right hand, so I didn't have to worry about that too much.
That's cool. And last but not least, tell me about this guy.
So this is I recently, or I guess last fall, started making handles for multi-pick flags. I got a wood lathe. I already had a metal lathe. And yeah, this is, so you can, if you have multi-pick flags, you can put them in here. They fit. It's got the set screw here. And I think you were the one who asked for an indexing mark on the opposite side.
Yeah.
This one has a synthetic ruby. The tip is brass. This is tarnished a bit. This one is actually yours or Hallis Chalmers?
I bought this as a gift for Hallis Chalmers.
Okay.
So it's his. I'm probably going to steal it someday. No, no, it's his. It's his. So I have your prototype. This one's yours, and I also gave one to somebody else in the community that I'm not allowed to mention, but we know who that person is. A very big person in the community has one of these of yours as well. I absolutely love this. I absolutely love that. I love that what we're finding out with dimple picks is that a larger grip here allows you to pick for longer periods of time without cramping in the thumb and the forefinger here, or index finger. And I love everything. I love the length of this. I love that it's tapered here. I love the grip, and I love that you did what would you call this? Not stippling, but what would this be called? Where it's just it's almost like the grooves of a golf ball, and it provides just enough traction to be able to maneuver your pick within the keyway without having to add, rubber O-rings or something like that, like a lot of other custom dimple pick makers are doing, which there's nothing wrong with, but I just love that you stuck with just only wood to be able to make the grips on this. And the indexing, Mark, what type of stone is that?
It's a synthetic ruby.
Synthetic.
But I can do, I did one with a
diamond, right?
A diamond not too long ago for a guy.
That's awesome. Wow. That is amazing. And that's what's great about something like this. People could say, well, I don't know if this is within my budget. This is very affordable. At least it was, to me at the time that I was able to justify purchasing 3 of these, and I absolutely appreciate it. The reason why I say it's affordable is I only feel like I needed to buy one because you can interchange all of the multi-pick profiles here. So you use actually the same size set screw that Multipick uses. I think it's a 2.5 millimeter. And so if you have the multi-pick profiles, or the flags rather, you can just interchange them in this as you need. So you can actually just carry them in a little vial, or if you have this in a leather case, and you only need one dimple handle such as this, and you're ready to go. And that's what I love about it. Though we both know I'll probably order a set someday. My goal is to have this in sterling silver. I want to have something like this in silver, and I want to get it engraved, and I'm just a bougie kind of guy like that, but I'm going to do that someday. You'll see. Tell me about your rings here.
Okay, so the rings are, these are all sterling silver here. I'm working in sterling silver and 14 karat gold. I designed all of these when I was living in Taiwan. Spending a lot of time on that my last year or so while I was in Taiwan, just doing the CAD work for these. I 3D print them at home and cast them. Yeah, I got a bunch of designs. The best selling design is not here, but it's the one you did your video on.
Yeah, similar to this, but it has the keyway on the inside. Man, I love these. And nobody knows this yet, but I actually purchased 2 of these here that are in here, and we're just showing them. You actually wear one as your wedding ring. Do you have that on?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have to get it. It's all right.
So yeah, these 2 are the ones that are probably getting banged up, are the ones you've been wearing the last couple days, and then this one is my wedding ring.
So this is a wedding ring that you made for yourself, and I'm going to be actually ordering one of these in about 2 months here, because I never wear my wedding ring like I should, and you and I have nearly the same size. I'm just swollen in the mornings, but I'm not going to put it on because I won't be able to get it back off. But I'm going to be ordering this, and I want that. I'm going to have it though, and what's cool is you can get these things pretty much custom. Let me zoom in here a little bit. You can get these things pretty custom, and meaning that you can have this in the open position or you can have it in the closed position. I'm going to have mine in the closed position as a symbolic to my marriage, and that door is closed to all of the other ladies, but I absolutely love that. I'm going to be getting that. I bought this to wear on my index finger while I pick locks right here, so people in the future are going to be seeing a whole lot of this in the future. I absolutely love that, so I can sport a Ratyoke whenever I pick a lock. What's the best place that people can contact you if they want to put in an order for any of these locks or any of these picks or any of the rings?
At the moment I have no picks available. You can always message me on pretty much any social media or Etsy, and I can do a custom order for you. That usually, I have to check how much work I have to do when I get back, but that's usually a few months to do. The rings come out much quicker. You can either message me on social media. If you want to check out my prices, you can look on Etsy and either order directly through Etsy or message me elsewhere to place an order. But the rings are usually just a few weeks to make.
All these rings are what, like 0.999 sterling silver? Is that what they call it? Like, how do you?
No,
what,
it's
like,
925.
925. Okay, my bad. And I see that it's actually in here. And so all of these rings are sterling silver. I imagine it is time-wise, because you're a jeweler, a master jeweler. It's easier to cast the silver rings than it is to carve the handles for these. So, so you said you can purchase these on Instagram, correct? Or not Instagram, excuse me, Etsy, that's right. I'll provide a link in the description down below to your Etsy account. You have also Royal Goblin Metalworks.
Yeah, on Instagram, Royal Goblin Metalworks.
Gotcha, and that's a lot of your other artistic stuff, correct?
Yeah, that's it's a newer thing I've been doing. It's a lot of my non-locksport stuff, mainly geared towards men.
Gotcha. And then you have another one, don't you? Like, okay, I thought you had a third. I guess I'm wrong. I'm sorry. So you have Royal Goblin Metalworks. You have Ratyoke Lockpicks. You have an Etsy account. You also have Facebook. I think you have a Facebook for Ratyoke Lockpicks.
Yeah, there is a Ratyoke Lockpicks Facebook page. I'm not too active. I'm not much of a Facebook fan, but I post on there occasionally.
And obviously your Instagram will show all of your works of art, but you also show the process of how you make your picks, which I love. You show like usually like a 3-stage process from beginning to end. But if you go to the Ratyoke website, and what is that? What website calls it? Ratyoke.com?
Yeah, Ratyoke.com.
Gotcha. You can actually see your entire portfolio of all of your tools that you have made.
It's not really recent work, but yeah, I have a portfolio on Ratyoke.com, and if you want to see my newer stuff, that's Instagram is the place. I post pretty regularly on Instagram.
Gotcha. And that also seems to be the easiest place to contact you. If anybody has any questions, if you want to put in an order, if you just want to say hi and just say you're a fan, that's the really best place. Right now in the community, when people get into the community, they'll discover your tools, and then they'll be like, well, who is buying these tools? Are you actually using the tools? Who can afford these tools? And then immediately there will be a response of like 10 or 20 people that have been in the hobby for, I'm sorry about that, my camera likes to just shut itself off randomly. People will immediately come out and say, I have 10 of these, I have 20 of these, and I've been collecting them for so many odd years. People that get their black belt in the Lockpickers United Discord Karate Belt, Reddit Karate Belt ranking system, that you actually make a black belt lockpick just for people who get their black belts. And so that way, when you get your black belt and they order a pick from you, they are owning a lockpick that is specifically made just for the black belts of the LPU Discord Reddit community. So that's super cool. And how many of those do you think you've made?
I don't know. So the black belt pick back in 2018, someone contacted me about it. And at the time there was, I think, 6 or 7 black belts, and they were like, they wanted to get picks made for them, and I said I can do a special. I design a special pick that will only be for the black belts. And this was right before I went to Taiwan. I made those 6 or 7 picks, and I thought that's the end of it. But then, like, I think next year or a bit later, someone else got their black belt and contacted me, and they wanted one too. So then it became, all right, I guess I'm making black belt picks.
And that's what I love about it, because you have so many fans and people. I'm telling you, it's an occult following that when someone has an achievement in their life, if they retire from being a locksmith, I've seen people order picks from you. If people are hitting a 30-year anniversary, a 20-year anniversary, or 5-year anniversary of being a locksmith, they'll order from you. People are getting their black belts, order from you. People that have picked a black belt level lock, or picked a challenge lock, or picked something, they'll buy. I have purchased from you as to give tools as gifts to my friends for birthdays and for Christmas. I went to go meet a high-level lockpicker that I'm a big fan of, so I purchased one of your dimple tools to give to him as a present, just to show my appreciation. Like, these are the ultimate gift in locksport, and it's the ultimate way of showing appreciation. Using these, they're super practical. They're the best tool steel on the market, and they can, if they were to do something wrong with them, they can send them to you, and you could work on them, whatever. But outside of them being functional art, they're just a great representation of someone's passion and affinity for this hobby. And I can't thank you enough for continuing since 2008 to be a part of locksport. Not many people are in locksport that have been here since 2008. In fact, we both just had a friend, Alan Whitworth of UK Lockpickers, just passed away. He had been in locksport since 2008. You'd known him since then. But we're slowly, like, it sounds weird to say, but we're actually dying off. Like, we're literally dying off, you know? So, you know, you actually came out here and you saw Hallis Chalmers in the hospital with me, and Hallis Chalmers is 67 years old, and he was the original owner of keypicking.com. Alan passed away, and now it's just like me, you, and maybe 1 or 2 other people that are still squeaking around.
I get occasionally on people who bought my picks way back when I started. Occasionally, they see my stuff online, and they say, like, hey, I still got your pick that I bought, 15 years ago, whatever.
That's awesome. Man, thank you so much first off, thank you for driving from Chicago to Houston. Thank you for staying with me in this house where we were hit by Hurricane, what is it, Beryl? Hurricane Beryl, and it destroyed the neighborhood. We were actually stuck in the house because there was a 50-foot tree that fell on the left side of the street, and there was a 50-foot tree that fell on the opposite side of the street, and nobody could get out for 6 hours. And then the power's been out for 3 days now. This is day 3. There's no gasoline. You and I have just enough gas to escape Houston. Yeah. You have an 18-hour drive going back to Phoenix. So you drove, how many hours was it from Chicago to here?
I think it was around 17 or 18.
So you drove 17 hours just to get here, and you're driving 18 hours back home, and you're spending thousands of dollars in gas, I presume. So I don't
want to check.
I don't want you to check either, but I want to say thank you so much for making the trip. You came out, you hung out with me, we got to go hang out with Hallis Chalmers, see him in the hospital, and then we went to the Easton Locksport group over, at least, I think, not including me and you, somewhere around 9 or 10 people showed up. We have 11 total, I think, at that group, and these were people that are just absolutely diehard in love with Locksport. They showed up through the end of a hurricane where the whole city's completely shut down. I think if we didn't have this hurricane, we probably would have had 20 people show up. So, like, I had people messaging me, Will from San Antonio Locksport group, or Alamo City Locksport group. He's like, dude, I'm really thinking about driving out there to meet Ratyoke. And I'm like, man, that's like a 4-hour drive. He's like, yeah. He's like, I would have to go home immediately after to be at work. So I was like, he was risking an 8-hour drive. I'm glad he didn't make it out because there was no gas in the whole city. He would have been stuck out here. So we had people that go to great lengths just to be able to meet you. Thank you to everybody that came out to the meetup. Thank you, most importantly, to Ratyoke, and thank you all so much for watching, folks. I'm going to put a lot of links in the description down below. If you have any questions, or if you're curious, if you want to reach out to Ratyoke, if you want to purchase some of his tools, my friends, look no further than the description down below. I have to tell you all, I am not rich. I am just extremely irresponsible. While Ratyoke was out here, I purchased 2 rings here. So that way I could wear these while I pick locks on video to show my love for his work and to show my love for the hobby. And I will, without a doubt, be purchasing more tools from him in the future. I still, to this day, even though I gave away probably 6 picks in the last 2 years, I still have one of the largest collections of your tools. I think I have about 12 or 14 of your tools so far. Looking forward to having 50 more, and it just being really irresponsible with my income, but I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.